What happens when the soul becomes addicted to virtue, when helping others becomes a disguise for avoiding ourselves? We speak of sainthood as though goodness were a final form. We speak of saving as though another's salvation could redeem our own. But isn't it strange how often the ones who save the most are the ones who feel the most lost? To live as a saint is to carry the unbearable weight of perfection. To play the Savior is to stand on a crumbling pedestal, and when we fall, as we always do, the silence is deafening. What if the highest form of love is not martyrdom, but boundaries? What if the soul does not grow by rescuing others, but by rescuing itself? This is not a rejection of compassion. This is a return to balance. We were never meant to bleed endlessly to prove our worth. We were never born to be saints. And we were never asked to be anyone's savior. Not all kindness is pure. Sometimes it's courtesy. Sometimes we give not from abundance, but from a desperate need to be needed. We wear compassion like armor, smiling while silently bleeding, telling ourselves we're strong, because we didn't say no, because we stayed, because we forgave what fractured us. But what if that's not strength? What if that's fear dressed in virtue? The world celebrates those who break themselves for the comfort of others, but no one mourns the pieces we lose in the process. Even saints grow tired. Even saviors drown in the floodwaters they try to part. We are not gods. We are not built to carry every burden, and it is not selfish to lay one down. There is a myth we're sold, that the selfless are the most holy, that erasure is love, that silence is grace. But what is love if it kills you quietly? What is grace if it leaves you empty? They never told us that the ones who shine brightest often do so while burning out. We learn to ignore our needs. We shrink our voices in the name of peace. We abandon ourselves and call it being good. But goodness without self-honor is hollow. The soul does not thrive in self-denial. It withers. It forgets its name. And what the world calls holy is sometimes just a person who never learned to say, "This is where I end." Sometimes our need to save others has little to do with them and everything to do with us. Control wears many masks, and one of them is the Savior. We think, if I can fix them, maybe I'll matter. If I can heal them, maybe I'll be safe. If they need me, maybe they won't leave. But salvation is not love. It's a transaction when it's rooted in fear. What looks like devotion can be an escape from the hard truth of healing ourselves. We distract ourselves with others' pain because we're terrified of facing our own. And yet, no matter how much we pour out, no one can drink from a dry cup. You can't rescue someone while quietly drowning. There is divinity, not just in presence, but in departure, in knowing when to walk away, in choosing your peace over your performance. We've been taught that to love someone is to stay, to endure, to endlessly give. But love without boundaries is self-destruction, and staying too long can turn help into harm. Sometimes the most sacred act is to let them fall, to let them break, to trust that their path is not yours to pave. It's not cruelty, it's reverence for their journey and yours. You are not abandoning them. You are choosing truth over illusion. You were never the answer to their healing. Only they can do that, and only you can reclaim yourself. To be the Savior is to stay distracted. We obsess over their wounds because it's easier than facing our own reflection. Helping others becomes a polished mirror, but not one that shows us truth, only a version of ourselves we want to believe in. We curate identity through service. We hide behind roles, the good one, the empath, the selfless soul. But the soul isn't interested in roles. It craves wholeness, not performance. And one day, when the noise quiets, we're left alone with the silence and the ache of a self we never truly met. To step back from saving is to finally meet yourself outside the eyes of those who once needed you. It's terrifying, and it's freedom. True love does not ask you to crucify yourself. It does not require you to die on the altar of someone else's healing. The love we've been taught the kind that glorifies suffering, that equates pain with purity, is not love, it is performance. Real love, divine, grounded, conscious love, is mutual. It breathes, it has edges and truth in its bones. It says, I will walk beside you, but I will not lose myself to keep you whole. You are allowed to exist fully, in your own body, your own truth, your own boundaries, and still be loving. You are allowed to step away and still hold compassion. You are allowed to stop saving and still be enough. Let them go. Let yourself return. We are taught to chase the light, to become radiant, forgiving, always understanding, always soft. But light, when unbalanced, becomes tyranny, a dictatorship of goodness that leaves no room for shadows. What happens to the parts of us that are angry, tired, resentful, human? We exile them. We call them unspiritual. We hide our darkness in pursuit of a light that burns instead of warms. But the soul does not evolve through denial. It grows when it integrates, when it allows both the storm and the stillness. You are not made to be a beacon at all times. Even stars disappear for a while. Real spirituality does not demand sainthood. It invites wholeness. We hold on to the idea of being good, to the illusion of being needed, to the quiet pride of being indispensable. But what if the highest act of love is not holding tighter, but letting go? Letting go of the need to be the hero. Letting go of the belief that your worth is measured by how much you can endure. You are not meant to carry what isn't yours. You are not meant to fix what does not want to heal. You are not responsible for the salvation of every soul you touch. There is freedom in the quiet refusal to betray yourself again. And there is grace in knowing when your season in someone's life has come to its end. We can't be saints, we can't be saviors, but we can be real, and that is enough. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the masks begin to fall, not with shame, but with reverence. The mask of the saint, glued on by childhood praise and by hunger for acceptance. The mask of the Savior, crafted out of trauma, sculpted from the belief that to be loved, we must be needed. We wore them so long, they felt like skin. But now, we are tired, and in that quiet fatigue comes the first breath of truth. We were never here to be perfect. Saints do not cry in the dark, because they are too holy to feel. Saviors do not scream in silence, because their pain doesn't matter. But humans do. Humans feel. Humans fall. Humans forget their worth, and then remember again. And that is sacred. We are not meant to carry everyone. We are not meant to rescue those who are still choosing their own drowning. You cannot hold someone who has not chosen to stand. You cannot love enough to make another whole. And that's not failure, that's nature. As the poet David Whyte wrote, the soul would rather fail at its own life than succeed at someone else's. This is not a rejection of love. It is a return to true love, one that honors self and other, not by saving them, but by seeing them and letting them walk their own road. In The Road Less Traveled by 𝑺𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒕𝒔, he reminds us that love is not dependency. Love is the will to extend oneself for the spiritual growth of another, not the compulsion to carry them. In Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, we are taught that the wild soul does not exist to serve, to bend, to break, but to roam, to feel, to remember. And in The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer, we learn that freedom is not control, but surrender, letting go of the false self, so the true self may breathe. You don't need to be good all the time. You don't need to save anyone. You don't need to apologize for choosing yourself. You are allowed to be flawed, to be soft and sharp, gentle and fierce, whole and undone. You are allowed to stop saving and start living. You are allowed to be human. That is the quiet revolution. That is your liberation.